right, my NAWBO sisters, one of my favorite organizations of all time, because we are the same women that started this organization 50 years ago, right? It's this, we're still doing the same work, but we keep standing on one another's shoulders. So it's an honor to be here today. It's always a pleasure to connect with other NAWBO members. And I would love to really quickly go around and like, what are you looking for today? If you could get one thing out of today, what is that? Could everybody just take a quick minute to share that with me and with each other? Anybody want to pop in, start us off?
Okay, I'll say that usually when I attend these, I get an idea or thought I didn't have before. So mine's just that vague. Something's gonna enter my head that wasn't there before. That's gonna be good.
Yeah, new. Kathy, where are you from?
Florida.
Okay. Your name's super familiar to me. I do know you.
Enterprising
Yeah,
women.
exactly. I do know you. That's great. Awesome. Good to see you. Who's next?
Well, Lorin, I need to know what the topic is. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Don't be sorry. Actually, I'm going to challenge you not to worry about the topic. Tell me what you're looking for today. There's
nothing in particular. I just like the camaraderie of the group.
Perfect. Camaraderie is great. It's funny, sometimes we don't need to know in order to get the intention out of it. Anybody else have another? Or actually, who's next? Thank you, Nan.
Well, I was glad Nan was so honest and said she didn't know the topic, because I quickly looked at what the topic was going to be. So clearly, like Nan, I'm here for the camaraderie, and missed my last mastermind meeting because I was on a business trip, and so I wanted to reconnect.
Yeah, excellent. I'm glad you're here. Community is so important, isn't it? It's so critically important to our health and well-being and sense of connectedness to one another. Who's next?
I'll go.
Go ahead,
When I saw the title, I thought it was great timing because next month, International Women's Day, I always try and do something for my team of ladies, and it's hard to come up with new content every year. So yeah, I'm hoping for some inspiration.
I love that. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I always feel like I'm running an inch deep and a mile wide. And I appreciate these because it gives me a chance to go a little bit deeper in something that I don't have the depth.
Yeah, you don't have the bandwidth for the depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it pauses you a little bit to go deeper. Awesome. Thank you, Robin. Who haven't I heard from yet? Molly or Rebecca?
I'll just say I just always come to this to learn about whatever the topic's going to be, even if I don't know what it's going to be, and see my NAWBO sisters.
Awesome. Yay.
Yeah, I'm the same. I shared in the chat. I'm just on board with kind of what Kathy had said and also what Molly said. Just always looking for tips and insights and to connect.
Awesome. I love that you're here for connection more than anything. Kimberly?
She put something in the chat.
Oh, there's something in the chat. Got it. All right. Kathy, Rebecca, I have an office manager's baby. Oh, got it. Okay. Thank you for letting us know that. You guys all have these little ones around. Okay. Anybody else that wants to, is it Marinella?
Yeah, I love the topic. I said 2024 was going to be my year of more intentional focus on the things where it makes sense for me to invest my time, and learning how to say no to those things that don't add value and don't move me in the direction that I'd like to go. So this is perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Okay, great. So I've been working with women entrepreneurs for 20 years. I am a woman entrepreneur in that I had a technology business prior to working with women. And I I really accidentally, it's sort of, it was funny at the happenstance of life, right? As I sold my business in 1999, 2000, I sat on my deck wondering who the hell I was and what would I do next? And friends started calling, other women entrepreneurs, they started reaching out saying, hey, I heard you just sold your business. Can we talk? And slowly I realized, wait, there's something here to support other women. And I didn't realize that I did anything special, to be honest with you. And I really didn't do anything special. I just went through the motions of taking a business through its stages and steps. And now I have the honor of doing that with people for a very long time. So in 2002, I hosted my first women's retreat. Again, accidentally, just wanting to pull some people together for connection. And I was working on that agenda that day, and I put together what I call my intention wheel. And there was 12 women in that group, and still now 22 years later, half of those women are still using this tool. So I'm going to share the tool with you. I do certify other coaches to use this tool. So if you know of others that it might be of value to, I decided it's important to share it, but share it in a way that teaches them the power of it from behind the scenes so that they're using it in the best possible way. So I'm going to ask you on a blank piece of paper to draw a circle, a big circle. And I specifically didn't share this ahead of time because there's something magical about having a blank piece of paper sort of show up without having any structure on it that's labeled, because now you get to watch it blossom in front of you versus trying to put things in the boxes with the labels. Does that make sense to everybody? So there's a little magic that happens in this. It's super fun. So you're drawing a big, huge circle. There's only a little bit of artwork here. It'll only take a moment. And then once you draw that big, huge circle, you're going to put a bullseye in the center. And then you're going to use your pen, not a pair of scissors, and you're going to cut it into an 8-slice pizza, but don't cut through the bullseye. So you're going to cut it in half, but lift up your pen over the bullseye. And it doesn't have to be pretty. Cut it in quarters and then cut those quarters in 8s. And now you have a wheel. And again, it does not have to be pretty. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to draw a circle around the bullseye closer to the bullseye. And then we're done. Your artwork is complete for today. So this is what I call my personal wheel. There's many wheels. Some wheels represent teams. I work a lot with women entrepreneurs and their teams, and it's a great way to put people around the goals, but they're not that important. It's the intention, which is so much more important. So this is the personal intention wheel. And we're not going to have a time today to do the whole wheel. If anybody wants to finish it, you can message me in chat and I can finish it with you one-on-one, but we won't have time today to do the whole wheel, which I'm just going to introduce you to just a couple pieces. And I was thinking about the most important pieces. I'm going to start with what I love, and that is health. So I'm going to take you to if you're looking at the 12 o'clock slice, we're going to skip over that one and go to the next one, that 1:30 to 3 o'clock slice. And you're going to label it on the very, very outside, health. So as we pause for a moment, I just want to share with you a little bit about how I got here. When I was 16 years old, my mother gave me my first Wayne Dyer book. And Wayne Dyer, I followed for years and years. And I see some smiles. Anybody who knows Wayne Dyer? Great. Awesome. So I followed him for years. I was 16 at the time, and he died, I think, 6 or 7 years ago, very suddenly. But one of the books that really struck me was his book. They all struck me, honestly. Real Magic was one of my favorites and the first one that I read. And they all just kept filling in little tiny nuances of his philosophy and his way of seeing the world. And the book Power of Intention was one that really struck me, and it made this wheel I started focusing a lot more on intentions than I did goals once I read that. But he says something really important. You can write this down if you'd like. I love this saying. He says, we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. We don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. So who we are in the world is everything. And you guys know this as women entrepreneurs. And I think about this from a women's leadership perspective of who we are as leaders means everything. We could be doing all the right things, but if we're not showing up in a way that's, in my mind, authentic, authentic, I'm going to say genuine, again, it's different, but it's similar, very similar, and confident as women entrepreneurs, but also compassionate and also empathetic. Like, I think I always want to give permission for women to show up as a woman. It's really important, I think, in our success. So I also like to think about that quote, we attract what we want. I'm sorry, we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are, as a way of informing us of how to show up. It's a good clue. It's a great puzzle question, if you will. So let's look at health. I'm going to come back to that point in a few minutes, but let's look at health. I'd like you, if one person wants to share in each of these sections, and I'll try to use a different person every time, it will help you, help everybody, I believe. So does anybody want to play with me around health and be a little more vulnerable? Anybody want to practice here with health? Rebecca, great, thank you.
Yeah.
So under health, Rebecca, I'm going to ask, let's do this at the top of the page, put today's date. So we have 2/12/24, and then you're going to put a dash. And we're looking at this to be the goals that Rebecca and all of you want to complete, or hopefully we're just looking for, to try to put some frame around it time-wise of 12/31/24. So we're thinking of goals within that time frame. So Rebecca, what kind of health goals do you have for this year that you're willing to share? I'm just going to grab my pen that's just dropped.
Yeah, I feel really good about how I take care of my health. So one would be just to maintain my current routine. I found like a really good routine and I'm in the flow.
Yeah.
And I would like to get back to practicing yoga. I used to practice yoga religiously, and then I went through 2 years of issues with my feet, and now I've had surgery and they've recovered, so I can get back to yoga. So I'm trying to figure out how to get back to that without losing some of my gym routine, because I've gotten really into weightlifting.
Good
So
for
how to
you.
fit it all in.
Hi, how are you?
It's so important.
Good, good. You just pile them over there. It's fine.
Oh, somebody's unmuted.
I'm dragging.
See if we can mute her. Oh, it looks like you got it right. Linda, I think she did. I don't know. Okay, so Rebecca, you said
Is
something.
that all of it?
Go ahead.
Linda, would you be able to mute? Oh, she's got it. Okay, great. So you said something really important, and I'm going to put some frames just for other people around this. That you have a goal of getting yoga in. How many times per week do you want to do yoga? Ideally.
I would like to get back to, I used to practice at least every day, whether it was like 10 minutes or like an hour practice. So I'd like to have 10 minutes every day of yoga asana, the physical practice.
Okay, so I'm actually writing down yoga, and I put 10 minutes per day. So you can see that this is what I like to call a habit or a daily habit. So I put an H after it. And it's really important that we start to pay attention. Am I trying to change something in this area that's a bold action, a one-time thing, and then it's done, or is it a habit? And to know the difference is critically important, because as we're changing habits, we're literally changing our DNA. We're literally changing our lifestyle. We're changing what, we're changing our lives in a level that actually changes us biologically. So habits are critically important to know the difference with, and I like to put habits in calendars so that it can start to match, so that we can make some progress in that area. Can you think of another one, Rebecca, that a lot of health excuse me, goals are habits? Is there anything else that you can think of? And they don't have to be.
To reduce my sugar intake.
I'm on that one with you. So that's a great one, reduce sugar intake. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Do you have a plan on how you're going to do that?
Well, I want to reduce my sugar intake, but still enjoy sweet treats, right? Because they're so pleasurable. I don't want to give up my Oreos. So I need to think about a balance. It's about balance.
It's about balance. So is it a way of measuring the amount of sugar that you want to consume per day?
Yes, that would probably be it. Like, it'd be good for me to go back to like tracking my macros, which I do sometimes for weightlifting, and then I can see like what my sugar intake is looking like.
Yeah, so tracking macros is another health
Yeah.
habit, right?
Yeah.
I just want to throw a tip in here. I worked on that last year. That was a goal of mine last year, and I joined Levels. So it was a phenomenal app. So if anybody else is looking for a scientific approach to that, I actually have it on again today. Super helpful, unbelievably insightful. So that's another habit. Anything else? And we'll just do one more here if there is, and if not, that's fine too.
No, I feel pretty good otherwise.
Okay, awesome. So let's pretend now, you're all going to do this in your own goals that you just wrote down. Hopefully you're writing your own down. So Rebecca, let's pretend, this is a really important question. Let's pretend that it's December 31st and you have reduced your sugar by tracking your macros and you are back to yoga 10 minutes a day. How do you feel?
I feel really proud of myself. Just getting back to like a daily yoga practice. I feel
Please pause right there. I'm gonna let you, that's perfect. That's perfect. So I wrote, she just said it perfectly succinctly. So she said, I want to be proud.
Yeah.
I want to be proud. So what I did is I wrote in the next section in, so the largest section has the goals. The next section in closer to the bullseye is her intention. And intentions, remember Wayne Dyer says, we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. So Rebecca's challenge is we now can explain to Rebecca that she gets to use proud as her intention of going about these tasks every day. So if she goes about her tracking of her macros proud, start off proud in the morning, like practice proud. Wayne Dyer says, we will attract what we are. So the other thing about that is you guys all know this as women entrepreneurs, when we follow through on what we want to accomplish, when we follow through on the things we set out to accomplish, we are more confident human beings. Does that make sense? Because we can trust ourselves. We can count on ourselves. So she can be proud on day one because she's going to practice trusting herself to implement these goals. She's going to go into that proud. And I always want to say with habits that every new day is a new day to start over. The old AA adage, it's a fresh day, and it's the new fresh day to start fresh. They word it much better than I did. So now I'm going to go to the next. So thank you, Rebecca. That was perfect.
Thank you.
And you can see the succinctness in that. The intention is everything. Here's one more trick about intentions. When Rebecca practices being proud, she might find something else she wants to do. What I find is the intention, the goals keep us very much with blinders on all year long, very much with blinders. Intentions are very vast. When she steps in to be proud, she steps into a whole new arena of other places she can look to be proud. And it actually changes the goals. It changes the perspective on life when we live from intention versus goals. And goals, to me, goals are very limiting. And over 22 years of doing this, I see people limit themselves versus step into intentions, which are so much more vast and so much more opportunistic. We see so much more possibility. There's more creativity from a success perspective, from a helping make things happen perspective, or allowing things to happen, more importantly. So I'm going to we're going to go clockwise. And the next section I want to go to is business, because since you're all in businesses, I know it's a really important topic for my women entrepreneurs. Is there someone else that wants to play with me in this section? Again, a little more vulnerable. Don't be shy, you guys. You know each other. This is how we connect. We share.
I'll do it.
Molly, awesome. Okay. So sometimes when someone starts talking, I've been doing this so long that I hear the intention before the goal. So I'm just going to ask Molly the question of what's going on in business this year that you want to put in this intention wheel. So what are you thinking, Molly?
So we're trying to launch a new line of business, and so the goal for this year is to get it up and running and revenue generating.
Yeah, so launch new line of business to create revenue.
Mhm.
And what I would like to, from a coach perspective, it's really important to me that we can measure this, like we can watch it over the course of the year together if I was working with you. So is there anything you can think of that you would want to measure? There's a launch opportunity day that we could measure, right? So is there a date that we could put there potentially?
Sure. How about
And we're making
May
this up.
1st?
May 1st. Okay, great. This is all made up, right? Goals are so fascinating because they're all made up. So she's just throwing something at the dark. And now what's interesting is now she set what I would call a bold action. It's a date that is going to come at one point, and we're going to be able to check that date off. But there's all these things that are going to happen between now and then. So I'm not going to, for the purposes of time today, Molly, what I would ask is like, let's drill down, not necessarily for today, but let's name the big milestones that we need to move through. You know how to do this. You're a professional at this. And that's something that we would check in accountability wise. And then of course, then after that, there's a whole nother set from a revenue perspective, right? Of, okay, now we're going to work on the marketing. We're going to work on the sales. So we could break that down. Is there anything else that you would put in this section from a goals perspective for your business?
Yeah, that's the main one.
Okay. Nothing else. And this one is fine.
We'll keep all of our current work.
What'd you say? What was that?
I'd say keep all of our current work. So
yeah, to maintain. Similar to what I didn't say maintain when Rebecca maintain, if we're going to do it and it's not effort and new, I'd say it's not something that you'd want to jot down unless there's something new you're working on within to maintain the work.
Not really.
Okay.
This new line of business is the real focus for the future growth.
Excellent. Super fun. And let's project out. It's December 31st, 2024. How do you feel about this? Success.
Excited.
Yeah, so it would be excited. So what is so I love about this is, sometimes at the beginning when we're launching something, it's heavy, right? It feels daunting, but this is informing us that we need to come at this with lightness, with joy, with fun, with excitement. And if we approach it from the very early on with excitement, it changes the game. Think about who it attracts too. If we are going at it with a whole different mindset, and it's a practice, right? To practice intention is it's like yoga. It's a practice. So I'll talk about that in a little bit because we're just looking at the subsections right now. The next one, Molly, anything else you want to add to that? Is that helpful? Is that insightful at all? Yeah.
Thank you.
You can see how it's big things like launching a new aspect of our business can be exciting, but it also can be daunting, right? I think it's important to see the nuances of how we wake up in the morning and the mindset that we bring to it is everything. And you guys know this, you guys know the importance of this, but when we put it in terms of actual intention, I think it starts to change. It's informing us how to behave. I'm trying to decide how I want to. I think I'm going to skip over the next section. And we'll just skip over it just for time purposes. We have a half an hour. So we have quite a bit of time here. The next one I want to go to is from 6 to 7:30, that one. And this is significant other. And I especially love this one if you're not in relationship. And then I also especially love this one if you are in a relationship. They're very, very, very different. But as women entrepreneurs, I'm hoping that we have either, if we are not in a relationship, especially this week of Valentine's Day, right? It's always got such a strange week, isn't it? So for those of you, how many people in relationship on the call? Show of hands. In relationship. Okay. And how many people not, just so I can be sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing. Okay, great. Super helpful. So I'm going to go to both places. So significant other is always fascinating to me. It's if you are in relationship, you cannot make goals for other people. That's the rule. You cannot make goals for other people. This is all about you. It's who do I want to be in this relationship? Who am I being in this relationship? So you're putting down activities and goals for yourself as it pertains to the relationship. You cannot put goals for other people. Really, really important. I am going to have somebody jump in with me here, but I wanted to first speak to the people that are not in relationship. I also am not in relationship at the moment. And I love this section when I'm single. I feel really proud of this section when I'm single because I put myself here. It's about being in relationship with myself and creating a life that I love with myself. And again, those are fun goals. Those are really important goals of how am I listening to myself? How am I honoring myself? How am I nurturing myself? Really, really, really important to think about these in both ways. Anybody want to jump in here to practice with me? Play here. It's a little vulnerable. Another one.
I'll go ahead and I'll
Oh,
volunteer.
Great. Excellent. And are you in relationship or not?
So I'm married, yes.
You're married. Okay, perfect. Because I don't believe that the end of our lives, if we go like on that hamster wheel for our whole lives, that we're going to actually create happiness. We may create a lot more money in the bank. Doesn't always create happiness. Like, so we have to decide what makes us happy at the end of the day. You're pointing to something that's so critically important, Marianella. I love, love, love where you're pointing us. So I heard, I'm going to add a third. I think there's a third piece here. I hear pause. And I heard, I'm going to even say, rather than relax, I'm going to say, take like 5 deep breaths. It's a way of relaxing that actually changes the DNA. Again, like I have a bio and a psych degree, and I know they both matter, and I know they influence each other tremendously. So taking deep breaths literally changes the chemistry and it changes the stress hormones in our body. So pause, relax, and then choose. What do I really want right now? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to put the last one here of choose. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I mean, am I the only one? I don't know if other married
let's have other
women
people
with
speak up.
kids.
Yeah, I love the question. Am I the only one? I'm going to say to you, you're not the only one to me. That's for sure. I've been in your shoes over and over and over again. And I also have worked with my husband in the past. I'm no longer married, but I have worked with my partner in the past, more than one partners. So I get it. I totally get it. Anybody else want to speak up?
Well,
Yeah.
I could speak up for a minute. I have been married to the same person for 55 years. And he did help me in the business for a while because was at that point where they wanted me to be out there rather, doing consulting, me and training, me being out there, which meant I wasn't in the office. So I needed him to come in and supervise the office.
Congratulations.
And we are very different,
Yeah.
and the difference has been good, but it's also, I can easily get into that. Where, pause, relax. And what was the other one I saw?
Choose.
Because I would come out, bam, would be my first reaction. Of course, not really hitting him, but, reacting. And that isn't always the best reaction.
And it's our personal growth. We wouldn't do that to an employee.
No.
Right?
No.
Yeah, usually not.
Good point.
Yeah. So but we're much more quick to judge and react to those closest to us.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I love the share of that. Anybody else want to share? Kathy?
So we've been married 30 years and we both came from really different backgrounds. So we've had, lots of fun navigating that.
Yeah. Navigating relationships through business is a fascinating thing. I also want to say that we don't think about leadership in our personal relationships, but leadership, as you know, is doing, right? It's what we're doing. It's the impact that we're having, but it's also who we're being. It's intention. It's, am I being who I want to be at the end of the day? And I think we're very thoughtful as women entrepreneurs to be super intentional at work. And then at home, it sort of all goes out the window. But I would like to plant the concept of being the leader that you want to be at home too. Like, who do I want to be? Who do I want to show up as? Because it matters. And that's personal and professional growth. When we change our response, we've grown. If our old response would have been a more immature, more ego-focused way, the new response is more thoughtful, more aware, and slower. And that's a more mature person. And we get to choose. We get to choose who we want to be. So I think it's funny about personal relationships. It's like it's the nagging place of ever growing, because that's how we grow, is be in relationship. It's those that are not in relationship that it's harder for us to grow because we don't have anybody to push against. But then there's growth in alone. There's growth in aloneness as well. Okay. Thank you so much. That was very vulnerable. I appreciate this, both Kathy and Nan also sharing. It's a really important topic for me because I know that happiness comes from relationship. Happiness does come from success, but it also comes from our relationships. So the next one I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on. I just want to, the next one is family and friends. And I just want to share with you that it's a very similar section. And I feel really strongly about my relationship with my family and my friends. And same rules apply. You can't make goals for other people. You're always making your own goals and intentions of how you want to show up in your relationship with your kids, with your friends, with your circle of people. And we get to decide at the end of the day, did I like how I showed up? Am I proud of how I showed up? Am I growing in how I showed up? If I were growing, what would it look like to show up differently tomorrow? And when we show up different, when we are different, we attract different. Thanks to Wayne Dyer's quote. Okay, I'm going to do one more section here, maybe. And I know that I'm speaking to a very high level woman entrepreneur, which is why I'm going to speak to this section. So I'm skipping over family and friends. And the next section I call Changemaker Impact. And what I know is that women want to have impact in the world. Sometimes your business is the tool that has you have impact in the world. Sometimes you have a not-for-profit that you're focused on. Sometimes you're on a board that you're focused on. Sometimes it might be a cause in the community that you're focused on. Sometimes it might be a child that you're focused on, or a grandchild that you're focused on. It doesn't matter, but it's about the concept of having impact on one other human being or a whole other group of human beings. But I know that when women and men too, are in a good place, they're happy with their business, they're happy with their personal lives, they're happy financially, they're comfortable financially, that we now can start thinking outside of ourselves and we can ask ourselves, where do I want to have impact in the world? And again, sometimes your business is it, and that's okay, and that's great. And there might not be anything in this section except how can we have impact. I want to share a quick story, and then someone can dive into this if you'd like. 5 years ago, my daughter was in the hospital for it was like a 6-month health issue. She was 12 at the time, and she's fine now. But I got to see, she was in the hospital, and next to the hospital in most areas, in most cities, is a Ronald McDonald House. I had no idea. I knew of Ronald McDonald House, but I didn't know what they actually did until I started getting my meals 3 times a day at the Ronald McDonald House. And I didn't know that it was run by teams of offices. Men and women would volunteer to come just serve the food. They didn't make the food, they just served the food. And they were trained to come and do it with grace, making eye contact with us and saying little kind things. Some did more than others, but it was such a game changer for me to watch these teams. It was accounting firms and financial advising teams would come in and as a group, small groups of people, just do good for people that just needed help getting a regular meal. And it was one of my favorite parts of, it was the silver lining of a very difficult time of seeing people choose to have impact in the world in the littlest tiny ways. So I share that because what I love working with teams and having them think about how to serve communities, because I saw what teams did together and how it helped that team have community and camaraderie together and the impact that it had on them, not because of me, but because of them and what they said yes to practice together and to do consistently. And I think as women entrepreneurs, we have such opportunity to work with our people, our teams, to then have impact in the world. So anyone want to practice here, play here, and share what you're thinking? You might have goals here, anything at all. There's no good or bad. It's just they're all different. I love hearing people's ideas in this area. Anybody want to share?
I'll tell you a little bit about like what we try to do is incorporate community and impact through our company. So we ask everybody really to pick a cause that's near and dear to them. And we tell them that we will support that cause. If it means something to them, then it means something to us as a firm, because we want to make our team feel like we're helping them have the impact, however they view impact in the community. We want to support them. So that's one thing we do. So everyone picks a charity that they like, and we will either sponsor a gala or some sort of an event. But also, we don't want to just give dollars without actually having us do something for the community. So every now and then we'll pick an event. We're either walking as it relates to a particular cause, or like Habitat for Humanity, we'll take a whole day and the whole team is like putting roofs on a bunch of houses here locally. So we try to do that as a team. I don't know if that's what you were thinking. So.
Well, there's no should in this box. It's very much a wild card. Do you have any specific goals for this year?
We will continue to do the things we've been doing. It's working. Everyone feels like their voice is heard and the company cares about things that they care of. Because one thing that, you know, I don't want to use a generational thing, but I feel like younger folks, it's important that they feel that that they have a purpose, that they need to find the purpose in life, and then that the company is supporting that purpose. So it's not just about working somewhere and getting a paycheck. I'm gonna say millennials, but it gets thrown out a lot. But I feel like our newer generation of team and leaders, like they want to feel like the firm has a vested interest in the things that they care about. So I think that's more of a, how do we attract and retain talent? Because these people are not just about working. It's about this holistic sort of approach to working. So that's what we started doing, and it's working. So when we get surveys from our employees on, you know, us, we actually have won 2 years in a row, best places to work for here in South Florida. And that's one of the pillars that they get asked about. So that's why we started this, and it's working. So we'll continue to do that.
You're speaking to exactly a point I wanted to make, and that is that by having positive impact and choosing positive impact, it actually creates a whole different level of connection for the team, each individual team member within the community. So I love that. I love what you're speaking to. I love what you're doing. Beautiful. And what an inspiration for those of us that maybe are not thinking about doing that yet and how we could make it bigger. We can spend a lot more time here, but I know we just have about 5 minutes left. So we're not going to finish that one like we did the other three. But you can see how this work works, right? You can see the importance. The last one, the section in this tiny set, the bullseye in the center becomes your annual intention. So everybody has an annual intention that I work with, and even teams, they come up with an annual intention. So when you have an annual intention, so let me give you an example. I was working with a financial advising team a couple of years ago. I still work with them today. The first year I worked with them, they came up with an annual intention for each, the whole team was gathered around one intention. And she, the older leader of the organization, she came up with it and everybody totally bought into it. She said, I would like to have the intention of being compassionate badasses. And it was really fun. Everybody laughed and we talked about what does that mean? So when we realized what it actually meant for each team member, how they were behaving every day and what it meant to show up in that with that intention, or to even have arguments together around those intentions, disagreements, I shouldn't say arguments, that's a strong word, but disagreements with that intention. It was a very bonding experience for that group a couple of years ago. And they've evolved. Every intention is a journey. So when you put an individual on an intention or you put a team on an intention, now you're on a team and on this path or this hike together. I like to think about it like a hike, and you grow together. You practice showing up together in a way that evolves us as humans. So I have had an annual intention for now 22 years and different every year. One year I had, it lasted 2 years. I didn't change it. And this year I only lasted 3 months and I changed it already. So I said it in November and I changed it a couple days ago, which I've never done before, but I decided I feel complete already with this. And it's a journey. So, and there's no rules about it. So anyway, I suggest we don't have a whole lot of time to get that one complete, but if anybody wants help working on this, you know where to find me. You can message me direct, or it's lorinbeller.com is the easiest place to find me. So I would like to wrap up with, remember what you said you wanted at the beginning, your intention of what you said you wanted. And where are we now? Did you get what you put out? Did you receive that? Everybody get their intention. And it's because what happens is when we set an intention, you can set an intention for a conversation. You can set an intention for a meeting. And when you set an intention, you put it out, and it's like the universe tries to make it happen for you. And that's a whole other conversation we can have, but setting intentions for meetings, setting intentions for conversations, setting intentions for the year, setting intentions for an hour, like we just did, are very powerful. So let's just, a couple people pop in that, how did you get what you intended? Anybody want to share?
Yeah, I think like for me, you hit the nail on the head. We're intentional at work with our company, and maybe I don't think about it so much when I get home, right? It's like, yeah, and I think I wouldn't show up in the office like that, right? I'm just like, all right, let's talk about goals. What are we gonna do today? And maybe I need to do more of that at home.
Yeah, and it's not taking off it's like we give a lot of respect to our work, right? But we don't bring that respect home, but really we're the same person. Why not live more respectfully of how we want to be, but not just at work? We're one person. So integrating, being thoughtful, being more aware it's a personal growth opportunity. I appreciate your comments that I'm seeing in the chat. Anybody else have anything else I want to share as we wrap up with just another minute or two left? Vicky had to step out. Kathy, the idea versus goal versus intention. Thank you for highlighting that. Yes, great. I agree with you.
I think for me, the last one, the change maker impact, is one I've never been intentional about, right? So thinking about what that goal is for the year, and I have participated in an organization for 10 years and stepped away from it this year. And I think that needs to go back in. So that's something I don't normally, I mean, I started my company because I am in that last kind of 10 years of my professional career. And so it was around a passion, but I never put it on my, okay, what's my goal for this year with it? And yeah, so anyhow, that really made me think a lot about that.
So glad. To me, it's super powerful. Mary and Ella spoke to it, that I'm finding that the companies or the organizations that I work with that are more intentional about that section, they tend to be places where people stick around longer from a work perspective. They love where they work. It's so much more meaning. So it becomes a great place to work. The awards are given because of it. And it's really fascinating. I've personally seen more people that have that in mind do get awards. I don't know if it's perfectly related, but it's absolutely something that I've seen more than once. So I think it's a normal place for us to start thinking when we think about the impact we want to have that way. Excellent. All right, it is top of the hour. I know your group is very much on time. It was a pleasure seeing you, a pleasure meeting many of you. I look forward to more if it makes sense. And I will send it back over to Linda. I think she's here. Or are you?
Oh, yes, Molly, go
Can
ahead.
we get the labels for the other pie pieces so that we can finish the exercise on our own?
Yes. Between business and significant other is money. After change maker is environment. And the last one is personal spiritual growth, which is anything about learning, anything you want to grow, learn, do, be. So it's a catch-all place. And if somebody wants help fine-tuning this, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to do it with you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lorin. And I will be sending just a follow-up from this to everyone here. So I'll make sure that you know how to get a hold of Lorin, that you have your template, and that everything is good. And thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.